Kaguya-sama never fails to bring a smile to my face with its hilarious antics and heartwarming moments, such as, well, it's sort of heartwarming, but also it's a little twisted, but when you have someone like Miyuki, of course the father has to be a little twisted himself, but having an almost confession to a complete stranger that just so happens to be the father of your crush who you think you're gonna marry someday. This episode was fantastic, and best of all, we get the return of Coach Chika. Maybe not in the exact form as we've come to expect. I mean, hell, she pretty much quit on him mid-dance, but then got so envious of basically Kaguya teaching him that she came back, and without even really needing her or Kaguya's help, Miyuki mastered that dance, which was so catchy with its little chant and little antics with how he was going all at it. I thought he was messing it up, but they were very into what he was able to accomplish. This episode was great. It's setting up some great U content, which you can definitely tell the season is 100% ending on. And honestly, Kaguya-sama is not missing a beat. It never really has missed a beat, but comparing just like where we were at with season 1 around this point in time to season 2, it's night and day, and the day was great, but the night's also equally great, just in a different way. I can understand why people were so excited for season 2. Without a doubt, my favorite content was Coach Chika. I love that, I always will love that. It's my favorite joke in the series, and I hope it never stops. Even if they had like a time skip or something like that and they were in college, I want this joke to always last. I want this joke to be at the wedding, for God's sakes. I want to see him not know how to put on a tuxedo and Coach Chika had to come in and show how it's done. Just, it's so hilarious because Chika is such... You never really know what she's thinking, because sometimes you think she's dense and clueless, other times you think she's manipulative and she knows what's happening and she's just trying to get these two to say I love you. And then other times, you really don't know if she has a machete behind her back, because anything is possible. And that's what makes her character so fun and why she's my favorite character in Kaguya-sama. Remove the character design, remove the amazing voice acting, the character at a written level is so damn fantastic, because in terms of something you don't know what's going to happen, this is the character who is the most unpredictable in the cast. At this point in time, Miyuki, Kaguya, even you to a certain degree, you know where they're gonna go. Miko is a little more new, so you still have some uncertainty with her, but in terms of the cast that we got to know from season 1, she's the one that still is hard to predict what she's going to say and what she's going to do, which is why her face says it all. And it was really great to see just such a very fun dance and little coach gag get twisted on its head by literally replacing her as a coach just like that, as if she had this like very long-term relationship and then Miyuki just immediately went on Tinder to replace her just like that. It was hilarious to see how pissed off she was, because she didn't really give off the I hate you, but she was just very much judging with her arms crossed. And I love how her and Kaguya continue to butt heads, because Kaguya is the more technical, where obviously Chika's the more emotional, and you can definitely tell she's emotional with some of the things that she said in this episode. And that was a great gag. It didn't overstay its welcome, so it didn't feel like very familiar to what came before, but at the same time it also felt relevant, so it felt like this coach little gag was progressing in a completely new direction, where she was ashamed of him, but that got right out of the way. Like, she was ashamed and quit, and then what ended up happening was a completely new form of this joke, and it was fantastic, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do in the future with another Coach Chika, maybe in season 3 or something like that. In terms of the whole sister content, I actually like that a whole lot more than I was expecting. I love his sister, she's a great character, but I wasn't really sure what they were going to do, because in any other studio or author's hands, you would expect the reason she's upset is because she wants to bang her brother. That's what anime loves to do. But the fact that they went with the rebellious angle is not only hilarious, it's also refreshing for anime. The idea that the comedy isn't that, oh, she's romantically interested in her brother, it's that because of her age, she's in the rebellious phase, and that's why she doesn't want to ask about the clear romantic feelings that he's all sad over because his crush won't talk to him. It's not that she's scared because she'll hear an answer she doesn't want and be like, oh no, my brother's moving on from me, and we don't have that same special connection. No, she's rebellious, so she's trying to act very horrible to get the answers out of him, and I love how they don't like stay on that topic for too long. It's funny as it is, and then you get the father content, who calls himself Sugar Daddy, but then also is just, I don't know why I like the father so much. I think it's because he's so awkward and just so blunt, and you kind of feel like he's creepy, but at the same time, he's just progressing things in such a quick manner. You had the phone call in season 1, you have the situation just kind of like pushing him, being like, hey, girls love a fast boy, basically, to then the end of the episode where basically he's like, oh, that name sounds familiar. I'm gonna see what this girl thinks because I'm trying to get my boy into a relationship so he doesn't end up like me, not wanting to sign the divorce papers 7 years after she ran away from home. This family is emotionally scarred, to say the least. Not bringing in the dough, the mother ran away and the father won't get the divorce papers signed. Oh my goodness, this family is broken, but you gotta love it for the comedy, but also you feel kind of bad all in the process. The emotional writing is there, but goddamn is the comedy just on point. Because you feel for these characters, even when a character like the father is sort of creepy at a visual glance and how he's talking at certain points, you do feel bad about what happened to the family, knowing that it actually did have some emotional scarring, even if we're laughing at it in present day. Though I do have to say the U content is really interesting and is probably the thing I'm most excited about with the remaining episodes of this season of Kaguya-sama. Yu is an amazing character, someone who's very socially awkward, very quiet, and you think is very emotionless. Honestly, comparing him to pretty much everyone in the council, he might be one of the more emotional characters, if not the most emotional, because he truly does care about people. And it was very interesting to see a character who's been observing him for quite some time really see the comparison to him and Miko, because he's someone who may get talked down upon and basically ridiculed, but he's someone who doesn't hurt people just for the fun of it, and in doing so, even if someone would talk back to him, if he sees someone who was getting bullied by having a note on her back, he'll take it off without needing the praise of doing a good deed. And it's quite interesting just the idea of rumors and how a rumor literally ruined his life. A girl that he liked, apparently he stalked and he punched the boyfriend. Like, no, he didn't. That's clearly a lie. And I pretty much feel like what's happening here with some of the shots is the girl that he liked is probably in this cheerleading squad or is observing the cheerleading squad, and I think that's going to come back in some way, especially based on the end of the episode where that one girl was looking in and it kind of looked like they were setting it up as like, oh, he knows her from the past. Or that could have just been a red herring, I'm not totally sure. But the idea of someone who clearly is a good person, who never hurts people, and even when he gets talked down upon, he just kind of shoulders it and just deals with it, even though it hurts him so much. He clearly is a good guy, and I'm sure 100% that rumor was just manufactured to be a lot worse than it was. It probably was, I like you, he got shut down, and then she spread a rumor, ruined his life, or someone else spread a rumor, and then just a whole bunch of things kind of did a snowball effect, most likely. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because Yu is taking a lot of steps. In terms of character progression over the past few episodes, he's had some of the biggest strides, getting out of his comfort zone. He's in a cheerleading squad, not just for show, not just for something to do. He's giving it his all. He's sweating his ass off. He's putting his everything into it. And you feel like something's about to happen to bite him in the ass, to try to push him away and ruin his life once again. And it'll be interesting to see if he's built enough connections and just kind of helped his self-esteem enough that he could overcome that. Because even though he's been sweating bullets from Chika and Kaguya at multiple points thinking he was going to die, those are his friends, and I'm curious what the difference would be is if this season ends on something similar that ruined his life before, but maybe won't this time around because of his current connections and just honestly having some really good companionship. But it is interesting how when you really do compare him and Miko, they are very similar, and I do like the butting heads. I've seen certain characters say, oh, it'd be really cute if they dated. I'm not a shipper by any means. I don't care what characters end up with who, as long as it makes sense for their character. And even if it doesn't make sense, if it provides for a good story arc for like heartbreak and just like struggles, absolutely go for it. But in comparison of chemistry, you can see chemistry there, and at the very least, I just want them to be good friends without totally butting heads like they currently do, like the idea that he's not going to get punished for playing his game because he's still technically under the roof of the student council and she ropes him and literally drags him bondage style. It's really, really funny, and I love their chemistry a lot. And I don't know where I want the season to end. Like, obviously they're ending on Yu content, but I'm not totally sure what I want to see with that content. But honestly, if they end on something that is going to get an emotional high out of us, something that's going to make us sweat and tear up, or just something like, obviously not what season 1 did, but something maybe similar, but with a new character like Yu, just something that's really going to feel dramatic, but then maybe end on a more optimistic note, I think that'd be a great way to end it, and then hopefully immediately confirm with season 3, if not down the road, because Kaguya-sama, it feels like this is a show that with each season, it gets like 5 times better, and the previous season was already amazing. Now, I know we're only on season 2, so it's like, well, only jumping 2 seasons. Like, of course, a lot of times season 2s get better, but I love season 1. That could have just all we ever got. 12 episodes, and I would have still considered it my favorite comedy anime of all time. But now that we get that season 2, it's making its way up there as one of my favorite rom-coms of all time. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with the final stretch of this anime. I thought it was hilarious. I thought they had some great moments across the board, and the visual directing was hilarious for this, especially when Kaguya was getting progressively more and more flustered and just really just the back and forth with Miyuki's father there was amazing. It just feels like the cast, the producers, the people working on this show, they love it. You don't get this level of quality, especially in Corona season, unless you really, really love the show. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I mean, I still think Kaguya's voice actress for the Japanese is still my favorite part of the voice acting, but you gotta give props to the voice actors across the board. I'm gonna say this, the MVP voice acting wise of this episode was Miyuki's father. That may be extreme for some people because there's so much adorableness and craziness with Chika and things like that, and she hit it out of the park. But Miyuki's father gave off such a creepy, hilarious, and sort of wholesome vibe, but also very mischievous. He just did a great job. I don't know how they would dub that to make it just have that much, you kind of want to push away, but you're also really glad he's a part of the show, because you can tell where Miyuki gets some of his kind of his mischievous nature and things like that. It was really great, and I thought it was really cute how Kaguya pretty much admits, before him, I kind of hated everything about the world, but he showed me there was good in people. Such a sweet moment. There's a lot of sweet lines in this show, despite being wrapped up in so much just you're rolling on the floor laughing at sometimes childish humor to really complex humor, but Kaguya-sama, it definitely has it all. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this very packed episode of Kaguya-sama. Your favorite gag or joke or romantic moment in this episode, do let me know. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.